It was my bachelorette party. All my friends were celebrating. And me, a few drinks in. Then they showed up, 7 dancers, by the way, all incredibly handsome. The night turned into absolute chaos, an impulse I never planned. I feel a little guilty for being unfaithful, but no one else knows. It was supposed to be a happy, innocent night of celebration. But it exceeded every expectation. It was a great bachelorette party. My last night of freedom, as they say. And yes, I was unfaithful. With 7 men. In a single night. And I don't regret it. Saying it like that sounds bold. Cold. Scandalous. And it is. I won't lie. It wasn't a mistake, nor something that just slipped out for a couple of seconds. It was a chain of impulsive decisions, building up drink after drink, laugh after laugh, until there was no turning back. And the worst, or maybe the most honest part, was that at that moment, I didn't think about my fiancé. Not about the wedding. Not about the future. I thought only about myself. I still remember the atmosphere. Loud music, dim lights, my friends cheering, toasting to me, to the dress, to the party ahead. Everyone happy. Everyone celebrating. And I was at the center, caught in that strange mix of nerves, excitement, and a freedom I hadn't felt in years. Because when you're about to get married, nobody says it, but everything suddenly gets serious. Expectations, plans, responsibilities. That night felt like a pause. And I threw myself into it completely. At first, everything was normal. Dancing, jokes, teasing, nothing you wouldn't expect at a bachelorette party. I laughed, raised my glass, let myself get carried away. I could feel everyone looking at me. I was the center of attention, and I won't lie, I liked it. I liked feeling special for one night. I liked it more than I should have. That feeling of being free again, no rules, no responsibilities, no one expecting an explanation from me at the end of the night. And then they appeared. 7 dancers. Just like that, out of nowhere. Hired for the show. All different, all handsome, all extremely masculine. My friends went wild, completely out of control. I laughed, raised my hands, made ironic comments. It was a lot of fun. Everything seemed normal until that moment, nothing unusual. Like any other bachelorette party. I hadn't planned to be unfaithful. It wasn't a crisis either. It was impulse. It was adrenaline in the moment. It was that little voice inside saying, "It's just one night, nothing will happen." And instead of silencing it, I let it speak louder and louder. I won't go into explicit details, because it's unnecessary. It's about what I felt in that moment. I felt free, way too free, and everything ended in a huge act of infidelity. All wrapped in laughter, music, knowing glances. My friends dancing, cheering, screaming, recording memories to look back on, celebrating as if it were the most normal thing in the world. And me, a few drinks in, letting myself go as if there were no tomorrow. At some point, I thought about him. My fiancé. It was a quick thought, almost annoying. I brushed it aside immediately. Told myself he wouldn't find out. That it didn't change how I felt about him. That one thing didn't affect the other. Lies. Lies that, in that moment, allowed me to continue. When it was all over, when the music faded and the night started winding down, I felt something. Not guilt. More like emptiness. Like when an amazing party ends and suddenly the silence hits you. I looked in the bathroom mirror. Makeup smudged, tired smile, smelling like alcohol. And I thought, what did I do? I got home in the early morning. Went to bed alone, staring at the ceiling. That's when I felt a little guilty. I didn't tell anyone. No one outside that group. Not because they asked me not to, but because I realized saying it out loud would make it real. And as long as it stayed in my head, I could pretend it was something allowed, a one-day madness, something normal. But the truth is this: I was unfaithful. On my bachelorette party. And I don't regret it. After admitting it, after accepting that I had been unfaithful that night, I started replaying the evening in my mind with more clarity. Because guilt is one thing, but understanding how it all happened is another. And when I understood, I realized it wasn't just a single moment. It was a series of small, seemingly innocent decisions that led me straight to where I ended up. That night. After the initial surprise from my friends, the dancers entered the show. Just like at any bachelorette party. Everything was fun. My friends laughed, shouted things. I watched, glass in hand, feeling the alcohol loosen me up while simultaneously clouding my mind. One approached me first. He spoke in my ear to introduce himself. He congratulated me. His voice was calm, confident. Nothing vulgar. He asked if I was enjoying the night. I responded yes, with an automatic smile. That's all. But that smile was enough. Then came the second. Then the third. Not all at once, but one by one, as if the night were building itself. Each one had their own way of speaking, congratulating me on the wedding. And there I was with my friends, laughing, dancing, enjoying the music, feeling like the center of attention. My friends noticed immediately. They encouraged me. Told me it was my night, that nothing would happen, that this was part of the ritual. It's a bachelorette party, they repeated, as if that phrase had the power to erase any consequence. And I wanted to believe it. I clung to that idea as a legitimate excuse. Everything felt allowed because it was wrapped in laughter and drinks. Every time I hesitated, someone would touch my shoulder, lift my glass, make me toast again. And I kept enjoying the night. There was no plan. No prior agreement. It just happened. I ended up being unfaithful, without overthinking it. I told myself I was already there, that it made no sense to stop now. I remember laughing a lot. Laughing at myself, at the situation, at how absurd it all was. I remember thinking that if anyone saw me from the outside, they wouldn't recognize me. But it was my night, and I deserved it. At some point, I looked at the clock. I had no idea what time it was. Time had stopped mattering. I thought I should leave, that it was enough. But just then a friend grabbed my hand and whispered something that made me laugh again. And I stayed. I kept telling myself it was the last time. That after this moment, everything would end. That nothing more would happen. And every time I said it, the night proved me wrong. I lost control. Saying it like that sounds exaggerated. But that night, it didn't feel that way. Everything was so blurry that I lost track. When it finally ended, when the music faded and people started to leave, I felt exhaustion hit me all at once. Physical and mental fatigue. I stopped dancing. Sat for a moment, took a deep breath, looked around. My friends kept laughing, chatting, checking their phones. For them, it was a funny anecdote. For me, it was starting to become something else. I got up, went to the bathroom, washed my face. I looked in the mirror more carefully than before. No more euphoria. The hangover was creeping in. I thought about how I would remember this night in a few days. Thought about whether I could look my fiancé in the eyes without him noticing anything. And I convinced myself, once again, that I could. We went home together. Between laughter, comments, inside jokes. I nodded, smiled, played along. But inside, I was already crafting another version of the story. A softer version. More acceptable. One I could actually tell. Don't be surprised. Seriously. This is exactly what happens at many women's bachelorette parties, even if no one talks about it. It's normal. It's tradition. A night where anything goes because the commitment, routine, and serious life come next. Excess is normalized, infidelity is normalized, and it's disguised as freedom. No one stops you, no one questions you. On the contrary, they push you. They tell you to take advantage, that it's now or never, that after this it won't happen again. And when you're there, surrounded by laughter and alcohol, that idea starts to appeal to you. And no, I'm not telling this to justify myself or to play innocent. I'm telling it because it's real. Because it happens more often than people think. Because many women experience bachelorette parties like this and the next day go back to their lives as if nothing happened, keeping the secret as just an anecdote. Some feel guilty, others not so much. Some keep it silent, others turn it into an inside joke. But it's not rare. It's part of a culture that allows it, celebrates it, and then looks the other way. And that night, I was just another part of it. The next day, I woke up late, sunlight streaming through the window, with a massive hangover. My mouth dry, muscles sore, and that uncomfortable feeling of knowing something big had happened, even though I hadn't fully processed it yet. I stared at the ceiling for a few seconds, trying to piece the night together. Fragments. Laughter. Music. Faces. Too many faces. I closed my eyes, as if recalling them. I got up slowly, grabbed some water, looked in the mirror. Dark circles, smeared makeup I hadn't fully removed, hair a mess. I smiled to myself. A tired, slightly ironic smile. My phone was on the nightstand. Vibrating. Non-stop. I picked it up carefully, like it could explode. Messages. Many. Too many. I ignored them at first. Went to the bathroom, washed my face, took a deep breath. Told myself I had to put on the day after character. The presentable version. The normal fiancé who had a fun bachelorette party, nothing more. He called mid-morning. I answered in a soft, slightly weary voice, just enough to sound like an innocent hangover. He asked how I had spent the night. I said fine, that we had a lot of fun, danced, maybe drank a little too much. All true. But incomplete. I laughed a little while talking, like it was a simple anecdote. Told him I was tired and we'd talk later. He didn't ask more. He didn't need to. When I hung up, I finally let out the breath I had been holding. That's when I allowed myself to look at my phone properly. The group chat with my friends was chaos. Complicit messages, written laughter, comments that only made sense to us. And then the photos started coming in. Short videos. Frozen images of a very fun night. I covered my mouth to keep from laughing out loud. I laughed because I was still a little drunk, because everything looked exaggerated, almost ridiculous. Me in the center, holding a glass, dancing, laughing like nothing mattered. Some videos I watched twice. Not because I wanted to relive them, but because I couldn't believe it was me. Drinking like that, saying things I barely remembered, surrounded by people who hours before hadn't existed to me. It made me laugh. A nervous, incredulous laugh. Not pride. Not total shame. Just that laugh that comes when your brain hasn't fully processed what happened. My friends sent messages like it was an achievement, as if it had all been part of a big show. They told me it had been epic, that they would never forget that night, that it was the perfect bachelorette party. I replied with emojis, short phrases. I saved some photos. Deleted others immediately. I didn't want everything recorded, though it was already too late for that. At no point did it cross my mind to show anything to my fiancé. That wasn't even up for discussion. Those images weren't for him. They were part of my story, something that would remain just between us. A secret file that didn't need witnesses. By noon, I made myself something to eat, though I wasn't hungry. Sat at the table, phone in hand, watched a couple of videos again. This time more calmly. No loud music, no laughter around. Just me and the screen. And still, I laughed again. I laughed at how uninhibited I had been, at how unaware I seemed. I laughed because there was still alcohol in my system and, deep down, I didn't feel the guilt I was supposed to. The guilt came and went. Short waves. I thought about him, the wedding, what was coming. And then, another message, another photo, and my mind got distracted again. It was like living in two states at once. The responsible woman and the woman from the night before, coexisting together. That afternoon, he came by to see me for a bit. He hugged me, told me I looked tired. I said I was, that it had been intense. He smiled. Kisses on my forehead. I smiled too. Natural. Practiced. My voice didn't tremble. I didn't look down. I was surprised at how easy it felt. When he left, I went back to my phone. My friends were still commenting, sending memories, making jokes. I was more sober now. And yet, I still didn't feel like my world was falling apart. I felt strange, yes. Divided. But not destroyed. That night, before sleeping, I put my phone on silent. Face down. Closed my eyes. I thought that the next day everything would go back to normal. That this story would be archived. Stored in a place I wouldn't revisit too often. I would keep it as a memory. I stopped asking myself if what happened was unforgivable and started asking why I was supposed to experience it as an eternal sentence. Because, let's be clear, what happened isn't rare. It's not an isolated case. It's not some impossible madness. It happens. More often than people want to admit. Bachelorette parties aren't just balloons, silly games, and innocent toasts. They're spaces where many women feel, for the last time before marriage, that they can be free without feeling guilty afterward. And in that context, enjoying a night is more common than people say. I wasn't the first, and I won't be the last. The difference is that I won't pretend to be surprised. That night was my last day of absolute freedom. Not legal freedom, but that freedom of not having to explain myself to anyone. For years, I was correct, committed, a good person. I met expectations, handled responsibilities, postponed parts of myself that didn't quite fit the image of the future wife. And that night, for just one night, I allowed myself not to be that. Did I feel guilty? Yes. I won't lie. There were moments when I wondered if I had gone too far. But there was also a clear, firm feeling that didn't fade with time. I felt I deserved it. I deserved a night without control, without care, without thinking about what comes next. I deserved to experience something just for me, even if it didn't fit the romantic story everyone likes to repeat. And before anyone jumps to conclusions, I'm not saying all women should do this. I'm not saying it's mandatory or the only way to experience a bachelorette party. I'm saying it happens. It's real. Many live it in silence, hide it, turn it into a secret. And judging from the outside is easy when you weren't there, when you didn't feel that now or never urge pushing from within. So to those listening, I say this simply, Don't judge me. Don't reduce me to a single night. Don't pretend that curiosity and impulse magically disappear when a woman gets engaged. Because they don't. We're human. And we make mistakes too. What I experienced doesn't define all of who I am, but I also won't pretend it didn't happen. It was part of my story. Part of my bachelorette party. Part of a freedom that, for better or worse, doesn't exist the same way anymore. And no, I don't regret it the way people expect me to. Some may be uncomfortable hearing this. Some may prefer stories with tears, promises, happy endings. This is not one of those. This is the story of a woman who allowed herself to live something, to enjoy life. Because, uncomfortable as it may be to admit, many women deserve to experience, at least once, a night without permission. Without rules. Without explanations. And even if they return afterward to their life, their routine, their commitment, that night remains. A memory uncomfortable for some, and liberating for others.